All right. Hey, everybody. I hope you're having a great week. So, today I wanted to talk about the best anime shows on Netflix. I guess I kind of make up these episodes as to what I'm passionate about, and lately I've been watching a lot of Baki on Netflix, so it's gotten me into anime. First off, I guess I should thank my subscribers. I've gotten up to I'm almost at 10 subscribers, which is awesome. You know, in my I know it's pathetic or whatever, it's not even at 10, but it's really cool to me because I expected when I made this channel I would have no subscribers. I didn't think anybody would care. So I just want to thank you all for subscribing. I really appreciate it. I'm trying to figure out how I can find out who my subscribers are so I can reach out to them, send them a thank you, and maybe ask if there's anything they want me to talk about on my channel. That might be a little creepy, so I may not do it. But yeah, so thank you very much. So I wanted to talk about the best anime shows on Netflix. Now, I will say I have not seen all of the anime shows on Netflix. I wouldn't even say I've seen more than probably 25% of them, but I have seen some of the top ones. So here's a list of all the ones I've seen, or at least I've seen clips of enough to know that I don't necessarily want to watch it. So I tried to get into Seven Deadly Sins because I don't know if it's called a thumbnail, but the thumbnail or picture of it looked really cool with that whole devil and demon thing. I saw a preview for it on Netflix. It didn't look that good. I've tried to watch One Punch Man. I've watched like one or two episodes, but once they got into, I think episode 2 or 3, where there's like a crab that this guy's fighting, I'm like, okay, this is way too much. Because it was highly recommended from a friend. I wasn't too into it. And then it was really highly recommended from a few friends to watch Naruto. And honestly, I couldn't watch more than probably half an episode of that. I'm not bashing these shows. I'm not saying they suck. I'm just saying, in my opinion, I'm not into them, and I don't think they're the best anime shows that Netflix is offering. Now, I will say that after I watched most, if not all, of these shows after watching my favorite shows, I can't think of any other shows I've watched on Netflix, so I would love to hear what you think are good anime shows that I should check out on Netflix, or maybe I'm not giving these shows enough credit and I need to watch more of them. But the best anime shows on Netflix are what got me and why I think those other shows aren't that good, because I'm comparing them to my favorite shows. So the best shows on Netflix, I'm just going to go top 3 for now. So number 3, the best anime show on Netflix, you're probably going to think I'm an idiot, is Castlevania. Because a lot of people probably think Castlevania is the best anime show on Netflix because it's so popular. So why I like Castlevania, there are possibly spoilers, so just keep in mind there's probably spoilers. Why I like Castlevania, as anybody who's never seen it. First of all, I just want to say I'm not that into anime. The only anime I've ever really liked, or the only anime ever really loved, is Dragon Ball Z. So I suggest people who aren't into anime give Castlevania a try, because it's really, I don't even know if it counts as anime, to be honest. I could be a total idiot. But people who don't like anime like that show. I know a few people who don't even like anime and they like that show. The show is somewhat dark, which is really cool. The voice acting in it is very good. They hire very good actors. The show's very, I would say it's, I don't know if mysterious is the right word, but it's very suspenseful. And the action sequences are pretty cool. The dialogue is great. Trevor, whatever in it, Trevor Belmont, he's really funny in it. His girlfriend's funny. So yeah, I would definitely recommend the show. The action's awesome. The fantasy, the storyline is really cool. Dialogue's great. Character development, the characters are awesome. It's a great show. Now, for my second, I don't know if I have too much I want to say on that show. To be honest, it can be a bit boring sometimes, especially when you get into, I would say, season 2. And the show can get very dark for Castlevania. Season 2 definitely had some boring parts, and I don't know if I fast forward some parts, but when I rewatched the show, I definitely fast forward some parts. But it could be a bit boring, and it's very dark when they get into that whole black guy who beats himself and tortures himself, and they get into his life story. And whenever he talks, the poor guy's just had a really rough life, so it's really dark listening to that. And so those parts I'm not really that into. So yeah, I will say the show does get very dark. Sorry, the mask is very uncomfortable. But so yeah, that's pretty cool. And then I'll just get into the second best show on Netflix. The second best anime show is Baki, in my opinion. Baki, I just recently started watching it. I think it was last week, and I basically binged that show. I will say that Baki is really cool / awesome. Now I will say that, just kind of a disclaimer, all of my favorite shows, all of my favorite anime shows on Netflix are fighting shows. So that is my favorite genre of anime, I guess. I do really love fighting shows, but to be honest, I haven't really seen too much anime that's not fighting. That's more so I don't know if there's a lot of good anime out there that's not fighting. So of course I'm being biased. The only kind of anime I've really watched before was Cowboy Bebop. I'll admit I watched that when I was around 16, and at 16 that movie is awful. It's super boring. And around 3 or 4 years ago, I tried to watch Howler's Moving Castle or whatever. That's just total garbage. I'm sorry. Of course, I'm not. If you like that movie, awesome, great for you. But that movie was so boring and stupid, in my opinion. I'm sorry. So that's kind of the anime that I've watched before. So yeah, Baki's awesome. The show is just super badass. The fighting in it is amazing. The action sequences are really cool, and they do a different take on it. It's not like normal fighting. They add like weapons and dirty fighting, and they have fire and knives and swords and stuff, and they do other creative stuff, like they use cake powder, and they do really cool stuff in it. So I would definitely recommend Baki. One of the only thing, well, there's a couple things I don't like about Baki, comparing it to my favorite anime show on Netflix. One of the reasons I don't like Baki is it's not purely fighting. When the fighters fight, they use a lot of dirty stuff in it, like fishnet and stuff like that, and they cut off limbs and stuff, which is cool, but I'm more of a strictly fighting kind of guy. I like the pure essence of fighting. The last shirt I wore in my last video was a UFC shirt. That's my number one sport is UFC and MMA. I love that. I love the art of fighting, to be honest. So I love Baki, but the whole street fight stuff, which is awesome, it's not my favorite with the dirty fighting and all that. Another thing is I just kind of felt like the show kind of dragged on. I watched all 3 parts, and I will admit I had to fast forward a lot of it. The storyline is kind of all over the place. There's a lot of stuff that they don't explain, and I would have really loved if they included in Baki the prequel, where they had the martial arts tournament that Baki competed in and he won. That would have been. I would have much rather have seen that than the actual Baki season. Probably that would have been so sick. But yeah, the story's kind of all over the place. The dialogue. They don't explain the fighting techniques very well, in my opinion. They're not as detailed as my favorite show in explaining how the fighters develop their fighting techniques and their strength. Let's see, what else? Is there anything else I don't like about Baki? It's just kind of slow. There's so many different characters and so many different storylines, in my opinion, that it's really hard to keep up with. It's hard to keep track. So that's kind of what I don't like about it. But overall, I would say Baki is awesome. I definitely plan on rewatching the series, especially the first, I would say maybe 10 episodes. At least the first 5 episodes are awesome when they do the character intros and they do the real essence of fighting. And you don't know the characters yet, so everyone seems like a total badass. I love that. So now to get to my favorite show, my favorite anime show. Sorry, I'm getting like cotton mouth on my mask here. Sorry about that. So my favorite anime show on Netflix is Kengan Ashura. If you like fighting and if you like anime, this is so the show for you. If you like fighting and you're not even sure if you like anime, just give Kengan Ashura a shot. I will admit it's pretty hardcore. I don't know if I've seen true anime, but in my opinion, as an American who doesn't watch that much anime, it's pretty hardcore anime. But it's one of those things where it grabs you. Literally, the first scene in the series is a cool fight, and it grabs you right away. You get sucked into this martial artist lifestyle, which is really cool. One of the things I don't like about Kengan Ashura is the animation is very hard to get used to. I just rewatched the first parts of the series a couple weeks ago. And man, the animation, I thought I was used to it, but it still takes some getting used to. They do this weird drawing with pencil of the characters where it's kind of like rough pencil drawings where you can see the kind of lines on the characters. I'm sure that's the style, and they do parts of the characters which are really darkly shaded. It's kind of weird, but you really got to get used to it. That's one thing I really don't like about Kengan Ashura. But that's really one of the only things I don't like. The worst thing about Kengan Ashura is that they haven't come out with part 3 yet, and I don't think they ever will, because I don't know if the show's doing that well. Maybe this video will change it. But Kengan Ashura is so badass. It's just, how do I even describe it? First of all, the main character in it is so cool. He's just this cool guy who's super chill, and all he cares about is being the best fighter on Earth, Oma Tokita. And he just cares about fighting and being the best. That's all he cares about. He doesn't really talk much, and when he does, it's usually very chill stuff. And he dedicates his whole life to fighting. He lives in this abandoned house, and he kills his own meat for food. It's not like he has any other hobbies. He doesn't even have any friends. He just purely dedicates himself to martial arts. That's it, which is really cool. And then his sidekick, what's his name? Let's see. Oh, if I can remember, because Oma Tokita always repeats it when he says his name, which I always thought was kind of cool. Give me 5 seconds. Let's see. Oma Tokita, and I think it's Katsuo Yamashita. But he's this old weakling guy, a businessman who has to follow Oma around, and he's helping him with his fighting career, or not fighting career, but he's helping him because Oma is competing in all these underground fights. And he's so funny because he's the exact opposite of Oma. He's not confident, he's weak. He's really funny because, he makes fun of himself, and he's always afraid, and he worries about everything. It's really funny. And the show is just so awesome, I think. It just purely goes into martial arts, and it goes into all the different styles. Styles that probably aren't real, but styles you never even heard of. Like the first season's cool. He gets into the underground martial arts that rich, billionaires do, and they do it to compete for power. So like if you're kind of like in the old days, if your martial arts beats my martial artist, whatever we bet on, I get control. I think they bet for land, and if your martial artist wins, you get that land to build your buildings on. And the first part is really cool, but then when they get into the second season, it's awesome, because then they have all these billionaire businesses compete, and the winner, I think, is going to take over the underground mob, or whatever I guess you would call it. So then you have all these billionaire businesses. They travel the whole world, basically. They don't show that, but they bring the best fighters in the whole world together, all these different styles to fight each other, and oh my gosh, it's so badass. They got a guy from Thailand, this badass Muay Thai boxer. They got a champion mixed martial artist. They got another one. They got Oma Tokita. They have karate. They have karate. They have all these different martial arts styles. They got, I think, jiu-jitsu. They got one guy from Nepal, who lived in the mountains, and he became a martial artist. They have a cop who's super crazy and just wants to give justice. They have sumo wrestlers. It's so cool. So then, each episode of part 2 is basically 1 to 2 fights of different styles of martial arts fighting each other. And it's just so badass. It's so cool. I highly recommend it. In my experience, it's definitely the best anime show on Netflix. It's so awesome. So yeah, that is... How long's it been? I don't know how long's it been. I'm trying not to go too much over. But those are my recommendations on the best anime on Netflix. If you think I'm an idiot or whatever, if you think there's way better anime on Netflix, it doesn't have to be fighting or whatever. I love anything that, if it has good dialogue, good story, all of that. Let me know if I'm missing out on some good anime on Netflix. I decided to say my favorites, and maybe I could sway you into checking them out. Just try it. Kengan Ashura is one of those things where if you can get used to the animation, you will like it within the first episode. With all of these shows, I recommend, really with any show, just if you get to the point where it's like, okay, I'm going to turn it off, just fast forward to parts you think you would like, and that really helps. That's what I do with a lot of shows I'm not sure if I'm into. I just fast forward to the parts I like, and then you slowly start to like the show more, and then you rewatch it and you watch the whole show, even the boring parts, because you get invested and you care about it. So I'd recommend if you think you might like Kengan Ashura, like when I first started watching it, I just liked the fighting. So just fast forward to just the fighting, and then you'll start to hear more of the dialogue and the story, and then you'll go back and you'll start to like it. So yeah, Kengan Ashura and Baki, they catch you right in the first 1 to 2 episodes. Same with Castlevania, actually. So yeah, I would say if you don't like these shows within 1 to 2 episodes, like I said, try fast forwarding if you can't take it anymore. If you don't like it within 1 to 2 episodes, 3 or 4 with you fast forwarding, then they're not for you. But I think those are the best anime shows on Netflix, and that's why. So, like I said, if you think there's better, it doesn't have to do with fighting, just anime in general on Netflix. Please let me know. I'd love to hear what you think are horrible anime shows on Netflix. They're not horrible, but ones I just really didn't like were once again Naruto, Seven Deadly Sins, and One Punch Man. But I will say they seem like great shows. They're just not for me. So yeah, let me know. But thanks a lot, and take care.